It feels very, very special to be working with these young female musicians, and such a privilege to be in a space where we can just explore ideas all together, and quite unusual, not just because we're in COVID, but I never had an opportunity really like this. So it was just really inspiring to work with lots of like-minded, young, passionate women who are just share the same interests as me.
It's just amazing to be able to play with other female jazz musicians. I'm in a jazz quartet already, as an all-female jazz quartet, and it's really nice to play with them. But in this amazing space here, with people I've never met before as well, it's great. It's really good, and they're all so talented as well, and it's just great.
I think the opportunity to develop so many different aspects of this style, particularly in a space which is all women, which shouldn't be rare, but it is rare. It's so unique, and it's something I'm really passionate about as well, because I feel like only recently have I seen more female jazz musicians becoming more prominent, and I'm really disappointed that it's taken me until I'm 21 to see that. Well, 2021 to see that so much. I mean, I'm talking more about brass players, but generally, I was so excited that this was coming up because I was getting more and more passionate about it, and then I saw it and I was like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
I haven't had many opportunities to play with just women. I first played with an all-female band for the International Women's Day at Ronnie Scott's a few years ago, run by Rachel Cohen. I think that the workshop was run by her, and it was so cool to play it just with a room full of women, because it's so rare in a jazz setting, and it kind of got me hooked. So I wanted to keep going with that.
I think there's definitely a shared kind of energy in the fact that it feels like we're doing something kind of new, and it's quite refreshing, not just for us, but to probably other musicians as well.
It feels quite surreal to be just playing with women, because it's so rare in a jazz setting. Like at jams, you're never there's never more women than men ever. It's revolutionary. So it's very rewarding, and I know when I was younger and starting bass around like 10 or 11 or 12, I hadn't seen any female double bassists at all, and just having the opportunity to be the representation for another 11-year-old girl is insane.
It's been a breath of fresh air to be on a program that is solely female musicians, solely because already you've taken away one barrier. I find that often as a female musician, you walk in with an expectation to prove yourself. I've been in bands before where I've literally made suggestions and it's like I didn't even speak. And so to just feel that level of warmth and mutual respect and not have to worry about that gender bias, it's been a breath of fresh air, and you can definitely feel how it's brought us all together.
of the air, so sweet. Can't you feel the blades caress your feet? Sunshine kiss your glow, marks nature's melody. La 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 la. Oh, drift away, we're safe, you will see. Can't you hear the whispers on the ocean breeze? Tales that tell in
It's really, really important to work on projects that champion women in jazz, because there really aren't that many at the moment. And it's really important that young women feel safe and have an opportunity to explore their musical ideas together, and also meet like-minded musicians. They're hard to come by, female jazz musicians, so that feels really special.
In history, in jazz history, all the kind of masters, they're all male musicians, and they're all fabulous musicians. They're so good. But it would be nice going forward to have some of those musicians being female, and maybe we'll have some like female masters as well as all the male jazz masters. But so it's very important.
Honestly, like my favourite trumpet players are people like they're not women. They're like Blue Mitchell. I love Wynton Marsalis. I love like Louis Armstrong. I really like trad jazz musicians. And who else? I also love singers as well. Like Ella Fitzgerald is my favourite artist of all time. So
Nina Simone, Ella Fitzgerald as well. They've paved the way for other female musicians, and it's just so important. And I want to do that too, because there's not a lot of female drummers out there, especially not female jazz drummers. So it's something that I'd really like to do as well.
But I think in the contemporary world, I think artists like Shabaka Hutchings are quite interesting in what they're doing, as he has kind of 3 different bands, which he kind of band leads all of them, and they do some really interesting stuff, like blending kind of African music and jazz and lots of different kind of ideas coming together into this kind of melting pot. So also, I guess, on a kind of compositional level, that is something that I'm finding quite interesting as well.
There's not that many female double bassists, especially in the jazz world. Classically, Phoebe Russell of the Queensland Symphony Orchestra in Australia is one of my greatest inspirations. In a jazz world, Katie Theroux is insane. She has a very interesting podcast where she interviews different double bassists from all over the world, which has been super interesting to listen to, and she's definitely a high inspiration of mine.
My biggest influence has to be Laura Mavila, for so many reasons. Firstly, she's Birmingham born and bred, and even just looking to her, I relate on so many levels, especially her becoming more known later into her 20s. I think there's a pressure, especially on a lot of young people, to kind of get things done before they're 25. And so to be able to see somebody who took their time to mature as an artist, and not just as a vocalist, but as a composer, as a musician, it's really inspiring to see where her journey has taken her and how much things she's been able to accomplish.
What I always hear when you sigh. Never on my woodland could there be ways to reveal in a phrase how I feel. Have you ever heard 2 turtle doves, Belle and
So I started playing saxophone when I was about 14, so I haven't really been playing that long. And then about a year or so after I started playing, because I started playing kind of classical saxophone, which I do still also play, I joined the Jazz Lines ensemble for young people, and that was really my route into jazz. I'd never done any jazz before, and then that was just a really valuable opportunity to learn different standards and get used to learning things by ear, so really develop your ear training and meet other kind of young musicians who are interested in jazz from the area. And with Jazz Lines, I performed at the Peaky Blinders world premiere, I think it was season 5, at the Town Hall. So we played on the red carpet and in the artist bar, and that was a crazy experience. I never thought I would ever do something like that. And then the same year in the summer, we played at Mosey Jazz Festival as well, which was headlined by like the Jacksons and Burt Bacharach. So it was crazy to be in the same festival as them.
This is not the first time that I've performed in Symphony Hall. I actually performed in Symphony Hall when I was in Year 6, and I was a part of an initiative of loads of Birmingham schools, and we did Sinbad the Sailor, and we all got to sing in the background as they told the stories of Sinbad, and it was like a highlight of my childhood.
I have actually played at the Symphony Hall before, but it was in this room. It was like I was like 11, so I was singing up there.
So my last gig that I watched here was, I was saying earlier, it's a Reuben James gig. And I was sitting up there with my friend, and it was great. And I loved it when the whole band came around into the audience and stuff. It was so cool. I've been here a few times, so it makes it really special when you're actually like on stage.
It's so cool to play at Symphony Hall. I played here for the first time this time last year for CBSO Youth. We played some Brahms. It was a very different vibe to such a small band setting on such a big stage in a big auditorium.
So I was just reflecting, having just done the recording this morning, and I am so inspired and encouraged by the level of musicianship and professionalism that these young women brought to this recording this morning. We started the project with the bar really high, doing a filming and recording in Symphony Hall. So I can only imagine by the end of this year that this project is going to develop them all as composers, arrangers, improvisers, musicians. I'm sure they're going to form a wonderful musical bond because they're super cool. And I'm just really excited to see where they're at the end of the year.
see I'm no good without